January 1971. What's Going On? The irony of Marvin Gaye releasing What's Going On in January 1971 and what was going on in Northern Ireland at the time is crazy. We had continued rioting, punishment beatings, bombings and confusion around policing, mixed with rumours about the rationale behind killings. What was going on indeed? January 1971 began with members of the IRA carrying out an early form of punishment attacks by tarring and feathering 4 men who were accused of criminal activities in Catholic areas of Belfast. Punishment beatings and punishment shootings, where people were shot in the knee or elsewhere on the body with intent to wound but not kill, were to become a continuous feature of the conflict in Northern Ireland and were used by both Republican and Loyalist paramilitary groups. On the 13th of January, riots began in the Ballymurphy area of Belfast. This would be a drop in the ocean in terms of trouble in Ballymurphy, with the worst to come later in 1971, as Northern Ireland became a powder keg. As the week progressed, the rioting spread across Belfast to the Ardoyne area. There was a political milestone on the 17th of January when, at a party conference in Dublin, the official Sinn Féin ended the 65-year abstentionist policy and agreed that any elected representative could take their seat at the Dáil, Stormont or Westminster parliaments. This issue caused the split between the official and provisional movements in republicanism. On the same day, the UVF exploded a bomb at the Daniel O'Connell Monument at Glasnevin Cemetery in Dublin. The landmark was one of 3 blown up by Loyalists in Dublin in January 1971. These landmarks were considered icons of Irish nationalism: the Wolfe Tone statue in St. Stephen's Green, which was utterly destroyed, the O'Connell statue on the city's main thoroughfare, which survived, and the round tower in Glasnevin, built in memory of the Irish politician remembered as the Great Liberator. The tower survived the blast, thanks to the 3-foot-thick granite stones of its construction. However, with the windows and stairs blown out, it was sealed up, including the crypt at the bottom which contains the sarcophagus of Daniel O'Connell and the remains of several family members in a side chamber. The good news is that visitors to the O'Connell Round Tower Monument in Glasnevin Cemetery can now climb to the top for the first time in over 40 years, with it reopening in February 2023. Rioting in Belfast continued throughout January, spreading to the Shankill Road area on the 23rd. At 5:07 a.m. on the 26th of January, an explosion virtually destroyed the Customs and Excise station at Lifford, County Donegal. The bomb had been planted against the wall of the station, with the blast breaking windows in premises up to 400 yards away. There were no warnings and no claims of responsibility, and even after Gardaí conducted extensive local inquiries, no one claimed to have seen anything unusual or suspicious on the date in question. The last official to leave the building had done so at midnight. Captain Gallagher of the Gardaí, Athlone, examined the scene. From the damage to surrounding buildings, he estimated that around 20 pounds of gelignite were used. However, no fragments or residues that might have indicated the composition of the device were found. It was widely believed that the UVF were responsible for the explosion. Another life was added to the death toll in Northern Ireland on the 27th of January, when the body of a man who had been shot was found in Belfast. John Kavanagh, 28, was found by the Blackstaff River, off Rodent Street in Belfast, where it is believed he was murdered by the Provisional IRA. The young father of 2 was believed to have been the first suspected informer within the IRA. The most intriguing thing for me in January 1971 was the reports that, following months of clashes between British soldiers and Irish nationalists in Ballymurphy, the British Army held secret talks with the IRA. It was agreed that, in parts of West Belfast, the IRA would be responsible for policing, and there would be no activity by the British Army or RUC. Thanks for listening to this episode of Tales of the Troubles. If you enjoyed this episode or any others, please like or comment to help the algorithm reach other like-minded people. To ensure you never miss an episode, please click the follow button and enable notifications. If you have family or friends who would also like this podcast, please share. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we take a closer look at February 1971.